Booktube. I've got a mail haul. It's small, but that's okay because I'm all by myself. My helper is temporarily gone. I've just got me and my, let me see if I show you, my little old lady, my sweet little old lady. That's it. And so 3 packages is plenty. And I'll be adding variety to these mail hauls soon. we'll keep doing all sorts of the regular features that you all like and that I love doing. The whole thing got derailed a bit in April, not just by a death in my family, but also by I was watching some video. I wish I could remember which one it was, and a category of a book prompt came up, and the category was #ownvoices, and I didn't know what that meant. I thought it meant, my first thought was, read something by a booktuber, our own voices. And then I made the mistake of Googling it and learning what own voices is. And then I made the bigger mistake of watching a whole bunch of booktube videos defending own voices. And absolutely revolting exercise in censorship and power that has nothing to do with reading at all. And to tell you the truth, it got under my skin. The fact that such a thing exists, the fact that virtue signaling can codify into fascism of such an outright, blatant kind, racism, sexism, bigotry, openly displayed as a good thing, it got to me. The fact that could happen got to me. The fact that I could click on booktube channels and see one after another smart young booktubers say that own voices means that if you have 2 novels about a black family, and one of them is written by a white person and one of them is written by a black person, then the one written by the black person will be better, and you must read that one, not the other one. Said by booktubers who had no knowledge of either book. In other words, booktubers getting in front of the camera, smiling, and saying whether or not the fact that person A can do this job, whatever it is, better than person B, is solely dictated by person A's skin color, which is flat fact, black letter, dictionary definition racism. And I made the mistake of going down that rabbit hole, and that actually consumed an entire last week in booktube. I tried to film it, and that came up and took my attention away, just like it's doing right now. And then I turned the camera off and said, don't do that. And then I tried it again, and it happened again, and I tried it again, and then it happened again. I'm consoling myself. I'm ignoring the subject now after this. You poor things. I'm ignoring the subject now. And the way that I'm allowing myself to do that is to just remind myself that it has nothing to do with reading. The own voices, the own voices movement, has nothing to do with reading or books at all, the things we love. It's only about power. It's only about telling people what they can and cannot read. So it's anathema. And but that's why I love doing Last Week in BookTube as much as the rest of you seem to love having me do it. That's the reason that I didn't do it. That torpedoed Last Week in BookTube, and then the following week I tried to do it, and that was all I could think about. So I'm exercising that demon now, and next week we'll go right back to rating the super hotties. But in the meantime, now that I've got my tiny little version, a stripped down version of the Own Voices rant off my chest, we'll move on. A classic example of the hypocrisy of 2 wrongs not making a right. Classic. And apparently unconscious. So, for instance, I watched 2 or 3 or 4 booktube videos, young women getting in front of the camera and saying that, saying essentially, no man can write a novel with a young woman as a main character as well as any woman can. Whether the man has written 20 novels, and they've all been excellent, or the woman has written nothing, she's still better. And that one booktuber I watched actually said that if you're a white man and you start a novel about a black woman, your only permissible reaction to that novel, at the beginning, the middle, or the end, the only reaction you can have is quiet gratitude. You can't criticize it, but you also can't praise it out loud because that's condescending. That's appropriation. Instead, your only permissible reaction to that book, if you're a white man and the characters in the book or the author of the book is a black woman or a black man, I guess. I have no idea. I guess it extends to anything. Your only appropriate reaction is quiet thankfulness. I actually saw a video in which someone said that. You can well imagine my reaction. The family-friendly version of my South Boston reaction would go a little something like, screw you and the horse you rode in on. But the verbs would be more complex. And as you can tell, it got under my skin. It bothered me. I'm amazed to find open racism and open bigotry proudly proclaimed anywhere connected with a community that's about reading. But it is, and I can't change that. So I'm just gonna let it go. So we're just gonna talk about some books. So let's see here. This one is from Harvard University Press. Comes out in April, or no, it's September. And it is The Pricing of Progress, Economic Indicators and the Capitalization of American Life. How did Americans come to quantify their society's progress and well-being in units of money? In today's GDP-run world, prices are the standard measure of not only our goods and commodities, but our environment, our communities, our nation, even our self-worth. The Pricing of Progress traces the long history of how and why we moderns adopted the monetizing values and valuations of capitalism as an indicator of human prosperity, while losing sight of earlier social and moral metrics that did not put a price on everyday life. Okay. I'll be interested in knowing what were they again? Earlier social and moral metrics were. I'll be very interested in knowing them. So Eli Cook is the author, and he is an assistant professor of history at the University of Haifa in Israel. And he has a deal of work to do. He has a deal of work to do to show me earlier social metrics that weren't about money. It's September. I'll wait until the summer's over to read it. But he has his work cut out for him. So let's move on here to this next one. What is this thing? Oh, good. Okay, I requested this. This is by Lawrence Friedman. It is The Future of War. I know some of what's in here. Very disturbing stuff. Questions about the future of war are a regular feature of political debate, strategic analysis, and popular fiction. Where should we look for new dangers? What cunning plans might an aggressor have in mind? What are the best forms of defense? How might peace be preserved and conflict resolved? From the French rout in Sudan in 1870 to the relentless contemporary insurgencies of Iraq and Afghanistan, Lawrence Friedman, a world-renowned military thinker, reveals how most claims from the military futurists are wrong, but they remain influential nonetheless. Of course, lately I've read 2 or 3 books on cyber warfare, and I'm now convinced that any talk of battlefields or insurgents with guns is hopelessly outdated. Just some of the stuff that I have read, the darkening web, the future of cyberspace, all sorts of what algorithms want. It's just terrifying how you're over the weekend when your school is shut down, your high school is shut down, the snack vending machine in the hallway is sending out a message to the computers of its supplier in the next big town, saying what its sensors tell it about what it's running low on. It's not a serviceman who does that anymore. The machine is sending out that message to other machines, who are then analyzing it and supplying. When that example comes up, it comes up in connection with the fact that signal and the signal of the machine that it talks to, and the signal after that are all hackable. They're all wide open. They have virtually no security, much less state-level security. And you might think, well, so what? So the Chinese government is going to hack the snack machine in President McKinley High School? The point is that sooner or later, that snack machine, sooner or later, that signal connects with supply and demand software that governs food chains to cities. And if you can get a bot in at any point, then the bot is in and can disguise itself. And then all of a sudden, well, okay, you say it's not a big deal if China has control of the snack machine in President McKinley High School. But if China can shut down the automated, computerized food and water supply chains for Detroit, well, the maxim, the old maxim has been updated, which is that major cities are only, one day away from complete civil breakdown. The old maxim used to be that civic peace rests on 3 meals. It's 3 meals away, 3 missed meals away from absolute apocalyptic zombie warfare. And all of those systems now are in computer hands. None of those things are done by people anymore. Not to mention the fact that every aspect that you might want, if you say, well, okay, they're all done by computers, but we can take back control of it. Well, you can't really do that. The roads, the traffic, the cars, a lot of the time. Anyway, here, let's get back to this. Pretty sure Friedman was talking about actual shoot-'em-up war. Friedman shows how those who have imagined the future of war often had an idealized notion of it as confined, brief, and decisive, and have regularly taken insufficient account of the possibility of long wars, hence the stubborn persistence of the idea of a knockout blow, whether through a dashing land offensive, nuclear first strike, or cyber attack. He also notes the lack of attention paid to civil wars until the West began to intervene in them during the 1990s, and how the boundaries between peace and war, until the West began to intervene in them in the 1990s? How young is Lawrence Friedman? He's an emeritus professor of war studies at King's College London. So he has to know that that's absolute nonsense. Okay, well, it doesn't matter. This comes out in October as well, so that's another autumn release. And then the last one that I'll put you through here is this. It's heavy. It's nice and thick and heavy, so it might please. Let's see what this is. Oh, Stalin, Waiting for Hitler. This is Stephen Kotkin's new volume in his enormous ongoing biography of Stalin. Oh my. Oh, very nice. All right, this also comes out in the fall. Just a gigantic thing. Wow, fantastic. Oh my. I went into the first volume very reluctantly. When it comes to, dead-eyed, slab-faced, psychopathic mass murderers, I really want to read just a 1-volume book. Thanks very much. I really just want to, the childhood, the adolescence, the school years, and then straight on to the story. I really didn't want to read that first volume, which is all about Stalin, the formative years. but I did, and thanks mainly to Kotkin's writing. I loved it. I loved every minute of it, even as horrifying as it was. Okay, so this comes out in October, and it is the first riveting volume of his landmark study of Stalin. The author forever changed our understanding of Soviet political culture and Russia. He humanized one of history's greatest monsters. The book was a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize, and John Lewis Gaddis wrote that only Tolstoy could have matched it. And this is the second volume. In the past 15 years, an immense trove of original documents have come to light. Between these 2 covers, for instance, for the first time ever, the author manages to synthesize the breathtaking range of these once secret documents. definitive answers on questions of whether or not Stalin's terrible famine of 1931 and 33 was a genocide directed at Ukrainians. Solves once and for all the question of the Kirov murder. Dives deep into the causes of Stalin's mass terror against his own elites, which remains one of the most enigmatic aspects of his career. I don't see that it's enigmatic, but it's good. They give you these bullet points in case you want to talk to the author, and I kind of do. So, so I wonder if maybe he will do an interview. But anyway, that's all right. So that's great. That's going to be major for the fall. So, although there's a danger if you're a reviews editor, there's a danger because you might be worried that your readers are getting Russianed out because 2017 is the anniversary of the Russian revolutions, and that has produced a flood of books. So any books editor is thinking, well, have we done too many of them already? By the time we get to the autumn, are people not going to want to read another long review of yet more Russian stuff? I'm hoping that doesn't happen, because fascinating history is fascinating history, no matter how much of it there is. But anyway, so we've got a big fat biography. That's wonderful. Then the future of war, and then the pricing of progress, which looks back to those golden era days when people didn't care about money. But anyway, well, there you go. So that's a small book haul and a confession of why I have stopped my meta commentary on this weird world that we all live in. But I will resume it. I've now got that poison out of my system, so that I'll resume it soon. And we'll do a bunch of other stuff too. But in the meantime, I'll see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.